are live.
All righty, can you tell the air conditioner's messing up our sound here? We're testing. Hey folks, anybody that's watching a few minutes early, we're going to crank up for the first time early. Good. We're checking our sound system, make sure everybody has perfect audio this time.
You can hear it. You good? You can still hear the air conditioner.
So let's straight out the bottom.
Okay.
Bottom right.
There you go. Oh yeah, we got the little one over there. All right, kids. They're good?
That's good.
All right, well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, we hope. This is when we start off, because of a real life incident that occurred to one of our trainers, one of our trainees here, ladies trainer of Great Dane, this is Dolores. And before we get much further, I want to say the Golden Retriever's back with us. She's got her special Golden Retriever. Show them the shirt there. Show them the shirt. She's really proud of her shirt. There you go. Does she need to squat down, Stan?
He said?
We're good.
Huh?
We're good.
You seeing the shirt?
Yes, we're good.
Okay.
All right,
Okay,
there we
good.
go.
Sit down now.
She's the official Golden Retriever now.
What are the pros and cons of Great Dane?
Oh my goodness, we're already getting questions?
Cons are
Huh?
parts.
What?
Parts.
Oh, yeah.
That's a con, so.
And the drug.
Right. So
Yeah, the drool, waterballs.
what I'd like to do, if y'all don't mind me coming back into this affair, is, Jamil, can you keep track of the questions? And then anyone please ask your questions and we will get through the main body of this and then we'll start answering questions so we can get that all kind of a little better flow. We don't interrupt what we're doing. I got criticized for doing that on Tuesday night, stopping in the middle of what we're doing to answer a question. So please ask your questions, and pros and cons of the day is going to be right at the top of the list. But right now, let me just give you a little bit of background people may not realize. We got the Dane is probably, along with Connie Corso, I can say honestly, the most versatile and athletic of the masters, right? No one thinks they know why, or no one claims to know why they call them Danes. They're known as they are the national dog of Germany, the Deutsche dog. So the belief is that German invaders brought back some of the Danish Mastiffs into Germany, 1600, somewhere around there, and they refined the breed and made it what it is today. Unknown to a lot of people, the very first dog used as an official police dog job was a Great Dane, and I cannot remember the name of the little village in Germany, but it was, they had, in those days you had a night watchman, that was the cop. He patrolled the streets at night to keep the burglars and thieves away. There were no street lights, so it was dark, and this gentleman had got jumped on by 2 or 3 burglars and they beat the snot out of him. He said, well, that ain't going to happen again, so he got him a Great Dane and he started walking the streets with a Great Dane. That was about 1886, if I remember right. And in 1889, in Belgium, they established the first training school strictly using the Belgian Shepherd, strictly for police dog work. But the very first one ever used was the Dane, and they were, in America, Wild Bill Hickok had Buffalo Bill, Cody. He had Great Danes, he had them in his Wild West show. They're just a really versatile Dane. Today's Dane, some people told me they're the not so Great Dane.
Yeah.
But we still have some really good ones to be found. And the one thing about them, because they're mastiffs, is they're very naturally defensive, they're very protective, and that's one, who's watching. Private joke, sorry. So, what we don't realize and appreciate, for one thing, is the ability of the Dane, with its size and its power, to take and literally stop any attacker, any assault. So if you have a dog with this, my dog Nick was about 180 pounds, 185. So he can handle it, any man. Their mouth, people talk about the pressure of Bulldog's jaws, but their jaws are only this long. Great Dane's jaws are this long. So that's a whole lot different. It's the ability to really stop people. The nice thing about a Dane is they're a thinking dog, and even when all about them are losing their heads, Danes can focus on the problem and figure out what they should do, right, Doris?
Correct. I've seen that.
So, we started this, Doris got into a little incident with the golden setter's daughter, 16-year-old teenager. And, it just seemed like it was worth repeating to everybody. I didn't know what I was getting into. So we're surrounded by, who'd you call? We're surrounded by who, Karen? It's her daughter here, by the way. She can say
What was
that.
it?
Spaz and spaz.
Oh, spastic.
Yeah. Spaz and spastic here. So
These two, yeah.
they what?
These two.
Give us some background here.
They both panic and they don't think.
Yeah.
They panic and that's it, period.
Yeah.
They don't think, they don't,
Yeah.
they're
They-
spastistics.
So like if they thought they were about to be,
Mugged or murdered, then it would be horrible.
We would freak out.
Yeah.
Like screaming, everything, panic, full-blown panic attacks.
so, did that ever happen to you?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
She says it like it's a daily thing. Oh, yeah.
And they're still spazzing out. I don't understand it.
How would you tell it? Oh, yeah.
So, you have a Great Dane trainer, protection trainer, right? And if you,
For those reasons.
for those reasons.
Yes.
And you don't usually take him with you when you go places.
Yeah.
So she's not used to having him in the car with her. First lesson, ladies, if you get a protection trained dog, they're called personal protection dogs. They cannot guard your person if they're at the house and you were in the car. They can't do it. I'm sorry. We're trying to figure out a way to get that possible, but would you agree with that?
Definitely agree. He's actually with me now.
He's actually with you now.
Yeah.
Okay. So we should have had him in for the show.
Yeah, he's here.
So let me background this a little bit. Dolores has got Madison over here. That's Carrie's daughter, 16-year-old, little teenager. Wave to him, Madison. There you go. Got her mask on like a good teenager.
Statistic.
That's spastic in case.
Spastic.
Yeah. So Madison babysits her a lot, and she was taking her home somewhere one evening, and they had to go through a really bad part of Fort Worth. And Dolores and this is what time at night?
11 o'clock.
11 o'clock at night. And Dolores notices that she's on empty, right?
Completely out of gas.
Well, yeah, so she spots there's a gas station and a liquor store, and you can guess what kind of people you run into at a liquor store that's got a gas station there at 11 o'clock at night. So they pull over there, there's nobody, you don't see anyone else around, right?
No.
And I guess the liquor store was closed.
I don't know if the liquor store was open. I didn't pay attention to that. I just didn't want to pull in if I saw anybody there. But I didn't want to be stranded on the highway at that time of night in that area either. So I pulled in and we didn't think anyone was there at the time.
And you never know about situations, because that's good thinking. I'm gonna pull into a station in a bad part of town. I wanna go to a station where nobody's at.
Yeah,
But that can backfire on you too.
yeah,
Because if the one person that does show up has bad intentions, there's nobody there to help you.
yeah. And that's the problem with anxiety is sometimes you overthink, but you miss things because you don't slow down, you don't slow down and think things through, think things
So,
through.
I couldn't play, that's trouble, what, anxiety, say it again?
With anxiety, sometimes you panic and you overthink, but you don't slow yourself down to really think things through clearly. You're in such a, I don't know how to explain
Yeah,
it,
no, I
but
think that's a good explanation. You do, you get in a hurry. You're thinking of the next step, and
yeah,
you don't quite
you don't want
think
this
of
to
this.
happen, but you don't think about that happening. like
yeah,
you said.
right. So you make it, it seems, in most cases, it's gonna be a good decision. You pull in, you're getting some gas, you got a teenager in the car, you got your dog in the car, and just you, right? That's all it's there.
Yeah.
So it's 11 o'clock at night, you get out and start filling up you put the hose in the tank and you're filling up, and what happens?
Well, I put it in the tank and I was getting ready to turn.
Speak up so we can hear you.
I put it in the tank and I was getting ready to walk back towards my car. and I heard somebody, and the man's voice was kind of like a deep voice. I couldn't make out what he said. His voice was kind of slurred, so I just got scared, and I jumped in my car and closed the door real fast. Well, while I'm doing that, she starts screaming. So
What?
I'm like,
Wait, I gotta ask. So there's a guy approaching you, you jump in the car, the hose is still
I
in your
didn't see
tank.
the guy. I just
You didn't even see the
jumped
guy.
like
You just
leaped
jumped.
into the car. I heard like a man's slurred voice.
You heard a voice. Oh, okay, so you heard a voice.
We need to
Couldn't tell what he said.
And I'm looking, you jump
Just
in the
because the
car.
area I was in.
And because the guy was walking up talking, you thought you should scream. Is that
No,
kind
I
of it?
was screaming
Because
his
his
name.
face was literally
screaming
like,
what?
on the
Her
glass.
name because he was walking towards her, so
Oh.
I started screaming her name to get in the car.
Ah, you're warning her.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Okay. Just wanna
I
make sure.
couldn't tell what she was saying.
I'm gonna narrate a lot of this because if we just let it flow, it's gonna flow all the way to the Mississippi Gulf
Yeah.
of Mexico, folks. So we try to.
Yeah.
You have to get in and narrate to these
Yeah.
two. You can't let them go because we'll be here for hours.
Yeah.
So, okay, so you jumped in the car, but your hose is, the gas hose is still in the tank.
Yeah.
You
That was,
can't go anywhere.
no.
So what's this guy do?
So I turned and he's like on the glass, like looking in my car, and he's like looking at me, and he's looking at her, and he's like,
Any
give me.
wink or something?
No, he was like making faces, but not in his right state of mind. Like his eyes were like rolling back in his head, and like he just like was not coherent,
Right.
and his words were like slurred. He was telling us, "Give me money," and when I said no, he started yelling, "Give me money, give me money," and then he was. I turned to him, and I was just like, "No, no, like I don't have anything, I don't have anything," and he just like made a face, and like I can't even make the face he made, but he was upset and he was like angry, and that's what made me more scared because he was upset.
Sure.
And then he was yelling no back to me, like when I was saying no, like we don't have anything. He was
He's
like,
trying to
no.
out yell you.
Yeah, he was like no, no, like getting really upset with us.
So y'all are in the car,
She's screaming.
you're screaming,
Yeah.
and you're trying to tell this guy to leave.
Please go away. Yeah.
And
You
he
were
was
the
like,
worst person to have to.
is what,
Yeah.
Carrie?
She's the worst person to have in that situation. Like,
Yeah,
I'm sorry,
she
Dolores.
made me.
Dolores, I'm sorry.
I probably made her. Man,
See, I'm her mom, so if she does that to me, I just smack her around and tell her to shut up.
So there's two cars that pull up while you're there.
Mhm.
One car pulls up and the guy kind of yells at him or something, and the guy looked like he saw what was going on and you thought he was trying to help you, but you didn't know what he pulled up for.
Not at first, no, because he pulled up right next to the passenger seat, like you couldn't open the door, that's how
Yeah.
close it was. And so we automatically thought maybe they're in cahoots, we freaked
Yeah.
out, you know, she's leaning this way, and we're looking at him, but then you can tell him, he's like shooing the guy away, like, get out of here, you know, like, leave him alone. And the guy runs he's on my side, the driver's side, he runs around the hood, around the front of the car, and starts like cussing out that guy, running towards that guy, and that guy just
So he
floored
hollers.
it,
Yeah.
he didn't care if that guy was coming or not, he just floored it, took off.
So then another older guy pulls up on the other side of the car, and he gets out of his car.
Yeah, he gets out of his car, and he goes to start putting his, like debit, like start forward, like to pay the pump
Right,
gas.
Right.
And that guy comes back, runs towards him, and now, I mean, he's on the shared pump, just on the opposite side of us.
Right.
And so now that guy's back by the driver's side, but he's in between, and he's yelling at that guy. So while he's yelling at that guy, I thought maybe I could slip out and grab the pump. So I try to crack my door open, and as soon as I do that, he whips back around, so I just slammed the door shut and locked it.
So he was listening for you to get out
Yeah,
of the car.
every time we tried, he would come right back.
He had you his first target.
Mhm.
So then these two teenagers or younger guys pull up again
Yeah.
on the other side.
Yeah, they're like catty corners.
And what happened to them?
So they get out the car, both of them, and the guy bolts that way, and he's like yelling at them, like, hey, give me some money, give me some money. And the guys like stop and look at him, and then they actually like swing at the guy. But that wasn't even enough to like deter the guy. Like he still kept coming at them. Like,
He's really high.
he was not in the right state of mind, and he just wanted money and to get his fix. So that's why I was scared.
Imagine.
I mean, if he was willing to fight two grown men like
Right.
me and her,
No chance.
No, yeah, I was like, no, he would definitely probably stick us, so,
So what, so these two guys, they gassed up and drove off.
yeah, they were swinging at him, and then he backed up, and then they jumped in the car and took off too, so then we're stuck there
So you're
again.
stuck there with them again. And what does he do now? Comes over here with it or something?
Yeah, well, he was still facing that way, and we try to open the door, and he then comes back, starts coming back. Madison realized that Apollo was in the back.
Apollo's her Great Dane, by the way.
Yeah.
And she's in a, it's not an SUV vehicle. but
I'm
it's
in like a small Jeep Trackhawk. So,
it's like a big hatchback.
it's like the Jeep Grand Cherokee, basically. It's not that big, yeah. So, she remembered Apollo was back there, and I'm not used to taking him at night to drop her off. He's usually at home, so he was passed out.
Let's mark this one statement, folks. She's not used to taking her protection-trained Great Dane with her at night when she's going strange places by herself. So if you can put
It
this.
was actually after training, so I usually let him go home
Or she
and
wouldn't have had
rest.
the dog at all, so.
Yeah, so,
Okay, this is just lesson number one.
yeah,
Protection
Lesson
trained
one, I
dogs.
wouldn't have
Actually
dogs.
take them with you at night when you're by yourself. Okay.
Exactly.
So she says, he's with you,
Madison, yeah.
Madison, okay.
Madison's like, oh wait, we have Apollo.
and I want to get this
So-
straight. This guy at this point is leaning on the hood, and bent over the hood. You see with his hands outstretched, and he's, I guess, muttering stuff to you and everything.
Yeah, and he's like looking at us with like, just like staring eye contact,
And
with
what-
just piercing eyes.
When you bring Apollo up in front, what does he do?
He stays
He
like that.
stays.
He doesn't get
No, I
afraid.
mean, what did Apollo do? Is he
Uh,
paying, licking your face and
No.
going to go play ball or what?
No, he is staring back at that
Back
guy.
at the guy,
He's
so-
staring right back at that guy.
So he
Yeah.
snapped to the urgency immediately.
Yeah, he knew something was wrong. You could see it in his face that he was processing that that guy was not okay.
So then, how did you get out and get your hose out? The gas hose?
So, I just was like, well, we had been there already for a long, long time, so I knew that, he wasn't going away. So I just opened my door and let Apollo out first. I knew Apollo would protect me, so I opened the door and I let him out, and he jumped over me, and he was right there by the door. I put him in a sit, and I said, Apollo, watch him. And when I said that, Apollo just, he tenses up, and he just looks straight at him,
What do
and
you call that?
ears,
His what?
watch him.
His death stare, is that what you
Yeah,
call
his
it?
death stare, he's gonna steal your soul stare. So, he was looking at him like that, and, I came behind him, and I went to get the pump, and I was fidgeting with that pump, and I knew the guy was coming closer because Apollo started to growl. And you know how when we tell him watch him, when someone starts making a step forward, they start growling. If they keep coming, they're gonna get bit.
Right.
So Apollo started to growl. I knew he was coming closer. When he saw Apollo, get up and start growling at him, that's whenever he was like,
Stop.
He backed up. As soon as he did like that and started walking backwards, I didn't care how much gas I had. I jumped in the car, drove. So Apollo, come on, let's go, and we hauled ass out of there.
So this guy was willing to fight two men,
Yeah,
but when the Great Dane stood up and growled at him, he backed off.
yeah.
So, where's Apollo right now?
He's in my car.
In your car, okay. Just wanna make sure we
He's
got that
ready.
part.
In case I run out of gas again.
It's
In
what?
case I run out of gas.
What about you, Madison? That's the way you remember it?
Yes.
Were you scared?
Terrified.
Terrified?
Yeah, we were shaking. Literally, like, when we started driving, like, we both were shaking. Like, my hands were shaking, she was shaking. Like, it was not a good experience at all. And, like, if he would have been in his right state of mind, it would have been different. Like, I
Sure.
feel like we could have, like, handled it. But I think because he just wasn't processing what we were saying to him, and he wasn't scared of Apollo, and, like, Apollo means business. When he makes
Yeah.
that face,
Yeah.
he might not bark right away, but he means business.
I wouldn't walk up to you if you had him.
Yeah.
I mean, I know him, so
Yeah.
I will, but you know what I
yeah,
mean.
exactly. Like, so the fact that he wasn't scared of Apollo is when I was like,
Until he
okay,
growled.
we're gonna have to get out of
Until he
here.
growled and told him he was serious.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
so,
And I think a lot of people make that mistake with Danes. A lot of
Oh,
people
yeah.
think that Danes are just big babies, big
Scooby-Doo.
pushovers. Yeah.
yeah, think of Scooby-Doo, the cartoon.
Mine is.
A lot are.
Mine's a big
But there's
baby.
some that mean business.
But that's why I got a Western Shepherd.
Yeah,
There you go. Plug them. So,
for sure.
what I said earlier was, Danes are thinking breed, they truly are. Which is one reason I like a German Shepherd, they are too. But, you know, with no build-up or no training field or no sleeve or sack, this guy acting goofy in front of the car was enough to,
Yeah, you
your dog
could
realized.
see him thinking the whole time. Like when I did tell him, you could see him, he looked at me and then he looked at that guy and he looked back at me like that's who you want me to get, because Madison was in the car too. So, you know, Madison said if he would have looked at her, she would have took her chances with the guy.
That makes her good. Madison said if Apollo had looked at her like that, she'd have gone with the guy. Is
She
that
opened
it?
the door.
She would have got it, here, I got $1.
And like I said, if I would have had 50 cents or anything in that car, I would have gave it to him, because I think like that's how bad
Sure.
he scared me, and that he needed a fix or needed something, because he was not in his right state of mind.
Right.
And I mean, I'm sure if I had it, he would have took it and hopefully left, you know, but who knows, you know?
That's a hopeful.
Yeah, hopefully he would have left, but I don't know.
You give him a little bit of money, you may want more.
If I had no money, that was the problem, that's
Yeah,
another
but
thing.
I mean, if you had, you still might have,
Yeah.
well, you got 50 cents, you must have $1, you got a nice car.
Well, a lot of people don't
Yeah,
carry
he
cash
was-
these days.
He wouldn't take it as no, and he kept looking in my car, and that was another thing that, you know, made me really uncomfortable, that he was like looking in my car, and like, he was pressing up against my door, and like, just would not go away.
And then right when we drove off, we called Stan and we're like, thank you.
That's all we could do was say thank you.
Did they stand?
Yes, we did. We
Stan was
did.
like, what are you talking about? 'Cause it's like 11:30. What are you talking about? And I was like, we just had to use Apollo.
Well, and I just got a text message that said, oh my gosh, we just had to use Apollo at the gas station, we almost died. And then I tried to call her, she didn't answer, so I'm like,
Oh
what
my
the hell? So I didn't, that's the story I got, she just text messaged me.
And then that shows how panicked we were, that we couldn't even process that we had our cell phones to call 911. Like or to call for help. Like we literally, with my anxiety, I was so panicked that all I could think of was, well, my husband's out of town, my brother-in-law is not here, I have no one to call, they're all out of town, they're out of state, no one's gonna come help me.
But there's a lot of women that are like
You
that.
know, yeah, you
A
get
lot.
such
A
a panic.
lot of men like
yeah.
that.
Well, yeah, then you
Yeah,
get in a
you
panic
can.
and you don't think.
Yeah, you can't slow yourself down when that
That's right.
happens, you can't calm yourself
Yeah.
down to think clearly.
But the one little point I think everybody will miss when they hear this story, I know this group has already missed it, is we use.
We're all dumb.
No, I'm saying that.
He was talking about us.
I didn't mean that. Oh, I'm gonna pay for that one later, off camera. No, I mean, it's one of these little bitty fine, minute points that it's very hard to appreciate, especially in such a dramatic situation, because this is not dramatic at all, this is really small. But,
The
so,
dog was calm the whole time.
that's the first part of it. The dog was calm the whole time. And then, for people who don't know how we train, and by the way, if you go back on Facebook, Facebook Live, you can see Apollo with Dolores in action, because we did a Facebook Live training session Tuesday. Mr. Apollo, his own self, was here and doing his pipe work. But we teach two things. We teach an alert command, which means go out there and scare the bejesus out of somebody. And we teach a bite command, which means, and on the alert command alone, if the person approaches and stupid enough to keep coming, they're going to get bit. But that's an alert command. It's to intimidate and run off somebody. We don't really want to get anybody bit, because you never know what's going to get into. But then we have our second attack command. She gave Apollo the alert command. Watch him. You did not give him the biting command, the attack command. And he never did. So,
He did just what I wanted him to do.
yeah, and that's that fine point I was thinking about. It's, it's a little fine. Total control, thinking all the time, understanding there was a threat, processing it. For people who think you just gotta have a high drive dog, that, there's a lot of dogs who would not have made that situation. So, he's an outstanding dog.
And he does really well. I mean, I've been taking him with me now, Home Depot, all over the place.
So, if you have to answer the question, is the Great Dane so great anymore? You know, I think they're all still doing proper training. I think there's a whole lot of breeds that we immediately kind of downgrade as show dogs. But you don't know how good they are because ain't nobody ever trained them good things that walk around the ring going, you know, like that. So we don't really know. I mean, there's definite health problems like the German Shepherd, which is why we have what breed do we have to stop that, Karen?
The Western Shepherd,
Yeah, there you go.
my favorite breed.
Yeah, so, well, you really don't know what kind of dog you've got if you haven't done training with it. That's all there is to it. And I personally, here's one quick one, we'll leave everybody go. When the Germans first brought the first couple of Great Danes over here to try to get AKC approval, and I can't remember, this was like in the 1930s or something like that. So they had permission to show them, that's how they did it back then. You could come to a couple of shows, the AKC judge would look at the dogs, you have to make so many shows, you have so many shows, if your dogs, what they were looking for, they would recognize the breed. So they brought two, and remember, these were, in Germany, they use these dogs to hunt people, bears, and bulls. So they brought the first, I think it was 6 they brought over for the initial show that was in Long Island. And in America, in the AKC, you go up to a dog, the judge goes up and opens the dog's flews or their lips and looks in their mouth and makes sure their teeth are straight. They don't do that here. And the judges that day found out why they don't, because they went up to the Great Danes, who probably the week prior had been, you know, killing some boars or some bears, or doing something, you know, Great Danish and all that. And they walked up and they said, if I remember correctly, the handler said, "What are you doing?" And the judge said, "Be still, I'm the judge." And he does this, and then the judge, the ring steward, the little other assistant steward, and half the audience left the country because those Danes tried to chew everybody up, man. They weren't going for that. So it was like 40 years later before they attempted to get them shown again. So they're serious dogs, but there's a lot of really good serious dogs out there. And people will just raise and train them on it. That's one reason we're now doing our Facebook Live on Tuesday night training. Y'all can again come out and watch Mr. Loris and Mr. Apollo. Golden Retriever, you'll be there, won't you?
I'm always there.
You was there. Will you be there in the future?
We'll always be there.
Oh, we'll always be there. I didn't understand.
I'm always there.
So I hope you enjoyed this little story. Hope you remember to take your protection dog with you.
Don't forget that.
We got a question.
Oh, questions. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, the first one was the pros and cons.
Pros and cons of Great Dane.
So you want to start with that one?
What'd you
Yeah, we'll start with that.
What did you say? They're
Laura-
the
Laura's got the
farts,
con,
they
yeah.
stink.
Digestive system.
Okay, it's-
Great
it's-
names.
They
You
stink.
need to breed better names.
It's what we need. Yeah. We need.
That's what we need.
We need to breed Danes with better digestive systems.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
the biggest problem is the same. One of the biggest problems is the same as German Shepherds is hip dysplasia, like they have in all giant breeds. And other than that, the only problem is you have the space, you know, to carry them. They don't have that many other. I mean, they got health problems, but dysplasia is your biggest one, so you need to be really cautious on that. And that's the only con. The pros.
They're awesome.
They're
Yeah.
awesome. Nobody
They
breaks.
are loyal.
Yeah.
They're intensely loyal.
And they're
Very-
funny. They're cute. They're like a big puppy.
Yeah, they got a lot of personality.
Yeah, they personality. There you go. Yeah.
So these are 2 Dane owners.
Another thing with them, it can be a pro or a con,
They're gentle with
but they are, what's the word? Not goofy.
Got what?
They're not sturdy. What is that word? I
Not
can't think of the
sturdy?
word. Like they're not
Like
sturdy.
clumsy.
They're clumsy. Yes, they're clumsy. So I don't know about him attacking somebody on some like freshly mopped floors or like bumped tiles, like slide everywhere. His arms.
And a lot of them burgers going in them kitchens, you know, steaming pots and pans, so you gotta watch out for the mop floors.
Oh yeah, if you have low counters, I'm
Uh,
sorry,
yeah.
because my Dane, I have high counters, and my Dane will just literally go put his head and lick everything off the counters.
Yeah.
Next question.
I'm like,
Next question.
Let's go.
You got another one?
Yes. It is. how long on average does it take a compel canine Western Shepherd to teach other breeds how to become a protection dog? It's from Lance.
Ah, Lance.
Oh, hi, Lance.
How's Gage doing? It'll take about 45 minutes probably.
Yeah, I was about to say about 30 minutes
Yeah.
for it.
Now, teach the handler, the owner how to handle is gonna be about an hour and a half. Any other questions there? Is that all? Is that it? That's it, okay. Well, appreciate the questions. Thanks for giving me a chance to get into Zena there, Lance. Appreciate you, Dolores, coming out. I know how scared y'all were for days
Yes.
after that, so.
Thank you, Dolores, for sharing your story.
Thank y'all for training him.
I think all women should own a protection dog, because as you see, we're tiny women and we all have protection dogs and we all can handle them, so you should get one too.
Mine almost outweighs me, so.
And the golden retriever just got back from a biker celebration, walked around the streets with, in a bikini. We looked, that necklace was $100 bills, right? Didn't nobody bother you.
That's right, because I had my protection dog.
That's right, so. Hope you enjoyed this one, folks. Remember, we'll be doing Facebook Live on Tuesday nights in our training sessions. If you want to watch Mr. Apollo in action, until that time, I'm going to join the ladies. We'll see y'all next week.
What's
Thanks.
the motto?
If
Hey.
you ain't having fun, you ain't training dogs. If your dog's not having fun, you're doing it wrong.
Night, folks.